Hello, everyone from the field. Yes, I am back in the field. I spent most of today heading back towards the north. On the way, picked up four additional soldiers, and we headed back. And everyone who went out over the last 48 hours has come back. And it's very easy, it's very visible to see how people came back, and they look, everyone got a haircut, everyone's clean, everyone has clean uniforms, everyone has a bit of a lighter step and a smile. Everyone finally had the chance to bring with them all the equipment they actually need from home, and not just what they grabbed at the last minute 2 weeks ago on Motzei Shabbat. Everyone came with food, and everyone came with all kinds of gifts from home, and everyone came back with very, reinvigorated and with very high motivation. And it's very nice to see. And the truth is, I'm personally also, I debated very much. I think I shared this. I debated whether I should go home, shouldn't go home, and I heard a similar sentiment from a lot of other people. And only after being home and coming back did I realize, and many others, how necessary it really is, and how necessary it really was. And we came back ready to continue our missions. But even in these last 48 hours where people went out, there's this, even within the simple action of people going home and then coming back to base, there's some very special stories. So, one I shared with you the other day about some of the single soldiers who basically said they're going to give up their spot for going home, so some of the married friends can go home for longer. But I want to tell you about two other guys from my battalion. One of them is a younger guy in his late 20s who went out yesterday for a day, and yesterday was supposed to be his wedding day. He was supposed to get married yesterday, meaning it's a date obviously what they set months ago, and obviously they decided to postpone the wedding. And on the day that was supposed to be his wedding day, he and his betrothed went around to make sure that the hall is willing to postpone their wedding and make a new date, and the rabbi is supposed to marry them, and then he's right back here the following day. Lahavdil got a message earlier today that one of the older guys in the battalion, he's been already volunteering for over 10 years, which means he's already in his 50s, and he's the person in the battalion. He's not actually on base with us. He's in charge of bringing in additional equipment, not equipment that we receive from the army, but he's the coordinator for all donations of extra food, but more importantly equipment, clothing, flashlights, anything of that sort. So he sent out a message this morning notifying everyone that his father passed away, meaning it didn't come as a surprise. His father was ill for a very long time, but his father had just passed away. And he shared with us a little bit about his father. He said his father, the truth is it was heartbreaking to read what he wrote. He said his father participated actively. He fought in the Independence War in 1948, in the Six-Day War in 1967, in the Yom Kippur War in 1973, in the First Lebanon War in 1982. Participated in all those wars as a foot soldier. And he said that with all the pain of losing his father, he knows that his father would want him to not leave his mission right now, and to continue taking care of the soldiers, and therefore he plans to continue doing what he's been doing for the last 2 weeks to make sure that we have everything that we need. But he wanted everyone to know, and that he's going to be here with us. And obviously that's, he didn't ask me personally for a psak. Obviously we a few of us, the commanders, we told him that we think it's more important for him to go sit shiva, that he should take at least a few days, if not the whole time. And I'm hoping that that's what he does, but the fact that he would be willing to even consider that, it's an amazing thing. I wrote to him personally, besides the fact that I think that it's okay for him to take the time to sit shiva for his father. I wrote to him and said that from the way he described his father, it sounds like his father was a very special person, and that he's obviously, I'm sure his father said he would be very proud of you and what you're doing, unquestionably. And I said, and regardless of when you come back to the battalion, Be'ezrat Hashem, everything that you do for us, for all the soldiers, to take care of our needs and make sure that we're able to fulfill our mission, will be Lilu Nishmato of your father, and that would be, such a tremendous chut for him and for you. A point that I find comes up a lot in the conversations with the soldiers here, especially now when things have kind of settled in, is the discussion of how to, I guess, two sides of the same coin, and that has to do with how the relationship or the correlation between the people and their leaders, or the people and the representation. Meaning, and this happens both, and this discussion is relevant both on our side, the Israeli side, the Jewish Israeli side, and also on the Palestinian Gaza side. What I mean by that is questions like, to what degree does our leadership, political, military leadership, to what degree can we put blame on them versus responsibility that we have as a people for everything that has happened over the last couple of years, and for the mindset that we sunk into that allowed this terrible thing to happen. But also on the flip side, to what degree should the entire Palestinian population in Gaza or outside of Gaza be responsible and be held accountable for what a group, the Hamas did or is doing. So it's a general kind of question, and I see it keep on coming up in different contexts. Sometimes on our side of the equation, sometimes on their side of the equation. So that's a question I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of days and discussing with people. So a quick few thoughts on that. The way I see it is that a very fundamental understanding is the difference between individuals and a collective. A collective, a nation, a country, is not just a collection of a bunch of individuals. It has its own life. In Chazal, we see this concept as called Saro shel Esav, the minister of, so to say, celestial minister of a nation. Meaning there is such a thing as a collective identity. I think we can all agree, for instance, there is something that we would refer to as Israeli culture. Doesn't mean that every single Israeli fits exactly the characteristics of what we would call Israeli culture, but regardless of what every individual does or doesn't do, the Israeli culture, there is such a thing. And to that degree, to that end, I'd say that our leadership is the leadership that we deserve, meaning they are our representation. And even if I, as an individual, have very different opinions from the people who are, leading the country at the moment, for better or for worse, they do represent the people, not just politically, meaning they are, I believe, a true reflection of how the country, how the Israeli population sees itself and holds itself, for better or for worse. It makes it very easy. It's too easy to come and say, as an individual, well, I know that they're wrong, and I think that they're wrong. It's not. They are not individuals. They represent a collective that voted for them. Not talking about this government or that government. I'm saying the entire leadership. To think that the leadership is disconnected and represents something other than the people in the country, I think is a misunderstanding of how things work. And I think this is true on the other side as well. To say that Hamas took over by force and therefore they don't necessarily represent all Palestinians in Gaza might be technically true, might be, but I would say it's irrelevant. I'm saying there is a certain culture which is dominant there, which has taken root there, which has support there, and for the question of innocent bystanders, for instance, because they might not belong to the Hamas official membership of the Hamas organization, is irrelevant. It would be like saying, well, it would be like making a distinction between the Israeli government and the IDF, or between the IDF and the Israeli population. There's no distinction between the IDF and the Israeli population. It's one and the same. Look what's happening in the country now. You have hundreds of thousands of people in the army, and you have 8 million people supporting them. I think that distinction, that observation is true, both on our side and on their side. And if we understand that what we're talking about here is a clash of collectives, which is what milchama is. If you look in Tanakh, we see war is not conducted against individuals. It is collectives against collectives. Then I think it could give us a better understanding of what's going on here, or what we could hope and pray for going forward. And that is that it's not just a technical clash of technology versus technology, or military powers on one side against military powers on the other side. It's the clash of collective identities, and what those collective identities, how they see themselves, and how those collective identities, what ideas and beliefs they represent and promote. And it forces each collective to define for itself who they are, who we are, what we believe in, what are we doing here, why are we here, what are the things that are important to us. And I think that's one of the outcomes of war, and I think we're seeing it now. We're seeing it in the achdut. We're seeing it in the chesed that's pouring from all over the place, from within Israeli society, from the Jewish world, and even from outside of the Jewish world. And that comes with the understanding that wars are not accidents of history. Wars are, there's a reason why we say that Hashem is Baal Milchamot. And there's something very big that is happening here. Yes, there are individuals who played different roles in allowing it to get to this point, but it should be seen as people of emunah, as people of faith, as Am Yisrael, with a deep and long understanding of history and Hashem's intervention into history. We should try to look at it in a much wider perspective, and understand that we need to reinforce and strengthen not only our collective identity, not only about the fact that we are a collective, but what are the most important features of that collective identity, and to crystallize for ourselves who are we fighting against, and therefore, and here I may be getting a little political, to understand that the question of is Mr. and Mrs. Aza officially belong to the Hamas movement is an irrelevant question. Just like Mr. and Mrs. German during World War II, no one really cared if they officially belonged to the Nazi party or didn't. Collectives fight against collectives, and war is a total and absolute conflict between collectives. And hopefully, as we go forward, these concepts and these ideas will be crystallized, and I think they are. I think there is a awakening, not just about knowing that the other side is evil, but also having a better understanding of who we are, and searching for ourselves about what we might have forgotten as a people, as far as our unity, but also as far as what is the purpose of that unity. It is something greater and deeper that I think Am Yisrael is ready for and heading towards. So this is some of the ideas that have been coming together in my own mind, and I've been discussing with some of the soldiers here. And it's amazing to see that some soldiers have difficulty accepting it, and there's discussions and arguments. But I find that many people, many soldiers who come from very, very different backgrounds, they can hear it, they understand it, and it makes sense. I see people starting to be able to think about things differently in a deeper way.